Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Let's see what I wanted to talk about. Mm, these things. Prepare stream with Brian. I'm surrounded by losers. If you had 10x the agency, then some other things. Oh, the book. Book and burning car. These are the topics for today. How's it going, by the way? Yo, I'm a bit busy still and have stuff to do, but I wanted to pass by at least. Okay, no problem. What are you doing? Still job things, like or uni things. I have some random topics today. By the way, do you know the game Balatro? I was thinking of maybe playing it. Not sure if on stream or just buying it to try it out. It looks interesting. And apparently it won like many awards and like it was like huge success story this year or something. Has me intrigued. I've watched a couple of videos like about the story of the game, right? And about how it is so addictive or something. Interesting game. Have you tried it? Prepare to cook with Brian. Okay, I'm going to leave this one at the end. Burning car book. Okay, first let's get this over quickly. I was so I don't know. I was like properly scared today because a car burned down near my house. And my car is like a white car. It's a white Focus. This didn't look like a Focus but the wheels are different and all this, right? But for some reason there was like some confusion between me and my brother, and he told me that he had seen the car or something like this, and I was like, okay, I didn't see the car. Okay, he told me, yeah, I've seen the car, right? I've seen it. He said this, I've seen it, right? And I thought he meant that he had seen our car parked in this spot, because we literally parked the car at this spot, this literal spot, like in front of this house with the trees, right? A little bit more backwards because this is like the road narrows down. But anyways, we park the car here like basically every week, right? So I was like scared and I was like, please, let's hope my car has not burned down. And luckily it's not my car. My brother has it, right? He saw it. He saw this car, but it wasn't our car. He was driving our car while he saw this one. and I had misunderstood it, right? And I was like, why the fuck isn't he worried or something? But yeah, apparently I was worried for no reason. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to mention it. And yeah, kind of insane, to be honest, that like this fucking car is burnt down like right by where we park our car. I hope my car doesn't burn down. So yeah, today if my car was burnt down, I was going to look up information of like what to do when your car burns down. Do you have to call insurance? Do you have to put like some kind of sue, or do you have to like file a police report, like report it stolen or report it burned down or something like that? I don't know what the fuck you have to do when your car burns down. Like if your car burns down, you're driving it, it burns down. I know what you have to do. You call insurance, right? They come probably like to set off the fire or whatever, right? And you're fucked. Well, and if your insurance covers it, then you're lucky, and if you're not, well, you're not lucky. But if someone else burns down your car, it's different, right? You have to like report it to the police or something. So I wasn't sure what to do. And yeah, that's basically the burning car topic. Bloop. Let's see. I'm surrounded by losers. This one later. Book. Another quick one. This book. Bro, why is it so blurry? How Venice won City of Fortune. How Venice won and lost a naval empire. I was like, before the book. I do know, and I won't mind watching it, but I wouldn't play myself. Balatro, right? Why wouldn't you play it? I've heard that it's not like literally a gambling game, right? It's like, I don't know, it's kind of like a card game, kind of roguelike type card game. Like there are runs, there are seeds, right? It's like there is some aspect of new things, some aspect of procedural generation, I guess. Whenever there's like a seed, there's some kind of procedural generation that you can repeat or something. I don't know. It seems like it's an interesting community, like it's an addicting game for game reasons, right? Not for gambling reasons, but for game reasons. So I was like, interesting. I had an idea. You can set videos to upload at a certain daytime, right? So it would be possible to upload a video with stuff like predictions in 100 years and set it to upload at that time. Would be interesting, not really for us, but for the people in 100 years. Yeah, that could be interesting. Time capsule type thing, yeah. I've somewhat thought of that idea, but always like in selfish things, right? So for example, a message to myself in like 10 years, right? So always things that I can see, right? Or like predicting how I will be. For example, this idea comes out of, it's not my idea. I got it from Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast literally does this, right? He has several videos of like himself saying stuff like Mr. Beast future me or something. Let's see. This probably gets it. Yeah, Dear Future Me schedule uploaded 6 months ago, 8 years ago. 4 years ago, Hi Me in 5 years. The Hi Me in 10 years is probably, it's going to come out October 4th, 2025, I guess, right? And these videos are interesting, right? He says something like, I hope you have a million subscribers by then, right? And it's like, here, for example, he didn't have as many subscribers. Oh, wait. Yeah, Hi Me in 5 years on like Dear Future Me. In this video, 6 months later, he was like, I hope I have, 50,000. And he didn't really have 50,000. He had like 10,000 or something. And then it's like in 5 years, he was like, I hope I have a 1 million. And he had like 100 million or something like that. Right? It was like some crazy shit like this. Maybe not 100, maybe like 10 million or something, right? But still, crazy. It's not really my style of game. I'm not really into roguelikes and starting over and over again. Yeah, true. I think maybe this game is the exception because it's like I don't know. It seems like the card theme sets itself a little bit to feel more, I don't know, palatable, I guess, right? It's like you are building a deck of cards of like jokers and shit like this. So it's like when your run gets destroyed, it feels a little bit more thematic with the poker theme, right? With the card game type vibe, but it's not addictive because of card vibe betting reasons, right? I don't know. I'll maybe try it and report back or whatever. Well, it worked, so good for him. Yeah. But yeah, I hadn't thought of the idea of like making videos. Yeah, for example, because the videos are talking to himself, right? I hadn't thought of like talking to other people in 100 years. Maybe I could do a mix of that. Let's see. I'm going to... here. Something like... Bloop. Copy. Video for 100 years. My tweets about Prime. I have like a certain kind of tweet that is like happy Prime whatever or something like this. This, right? Yeah. So prediction: in 25 years, Prime Day from Amazon Prime Day will be more celebrated than Christmas. Not really, right? But we'll see. We'll see in 7 months. So eager for it to be 2034 so that I can go to my Prime checkup, to my yearly Prime checkup in the University Hospital or University Clinicum Amazon La Paz. La Paz is like how the hospital is called now. Dental insurance included in the family pack. Bob, POV, it's 2045 and you're being sent to your to your workplace in the Amazon Ministry of Healthcare. Consume how do you say consuming? Consumption Studies Department in the new Prime Logistics Tube Loop. And it's this video. Basically, my prediction for the future is that some company, I use Amazon here, but some company is going to own everything. You go to your job. It's like you will work in the pod. You will travel to work in the pod. This is how I predict it will go. So eager for it to be 2034 to be able to pay with my crypto coins, Prime coins in the Prime checkup, in the yearly Prime checkup in the University Amazon Hospital. Very practical, the auto billing in your Prime wallet for the toll Amazon. Amazon Amazon is this is the company like TUV Zoot, for example. This is like our version of that company. TUV Zoot, Amazon TUV of the Amazon TUV tolls. It's so practical. Then this tweet: I can wait until I'm 664 and I take my 8-year-old grandson to the Mr. Beast theme park Beast World to play in the daily ages 1 to 100, compete to win 0.01 Bitcoin obstacle course in Mr. Beast theme park Beast World instead of long themed standing queues like Disney World, you'll wait for the mixed VR plus set piece rides in a big warehouse full of beds where you can lay down and scroll your phone until the workers call you up to your ride. That would be pretty funny. So yeah, I think if I do this video, this is going to be like the theme, right? It's like, am I right? This happened? Does Amazon own everything as I expect it will do? Or more like, instead of Amazon, who owns it? It probably won't be Amazon, right? Or Microsoft or Apple. It's like one of these five probably won't be. I assume they still be around, but who will own? Maybe it's a merger, right? Maybe Amazon and Google merge or some shit like that, right? Apple buys Google for some reason. Or Apple doesn't buy Google, but Apple buys Nvidia. And that company changed its name, and that one becomes the one that owns everything. Right? Apple buys HBO, and they buy also group, and Apple TV becomes something else. Apple HBO Max TV Netflix becomes something different. I used to watch this video called, I don't know if I... Future. I think I have a playlist that I called Future, where it just has that video. FG Futuro XD, this one, and it has a similar vibe. In Germany, as far as we know, we have laws against companies becoming so big they have a monopoly on the market.
Man
I guess.
is God. He is everywhere. He is anybody. He knows everything. This is the Prometheus New World. It all started with the media revolution, with the internet. At the end...
Wait, when is this video set?
Man is God. He is everywhere. It all started with the media revolution, with the internet, at the end of the last century. Everything related to the old media vanished. Gutenberg, copyright, the radio, television, advertisement. The old world reacts. More restrictions for copyright, new laws against unauthorized copies. Napster, the music peer-to-peer company, is sued. At the same time, free internet radio appears. TiVo, the internet television, allows the viewer to avoid commercials. The Wall Street Journal goes online. Google launches Google News. Every day, millions of people read All My News, the biggest online newspaper written by thousands of journalists. Flickr becomes the biggest repository in the history of photos, YouTube for movies. The power of the masses. A new figure emerges, the prosumer, a producer and a consumer of information. Anyone can be a prosumer. The news channels become available on the internet. Blogs become more influential than the old media.
See, this video has like some bits that are like, real, right?
Newspapers are released for free. Wikipedia is the most complete encyclopedia ever. In 2007, Life magazine closes.
This video is from 2007.
The New York Times sells its television and declares that the future is digital. BBC follows. In the main cities of the world, people are connected for free. At the corners of the streets, totems print pages from blogs and digital magazines. Millions of people are now getting used to the internet, many virtual worlds. A person can have multiple online identities. Second Life launches the vocal avatar. The old media fight back. A text is added on any screen.
literally Germany.
Papers, radios, and televisions are financed by the state. Illegal downloading from the web is punished with years of jail. Around 2011, the tipping point is reached. Advertisement investments are done on the net. The electronic paper is a mass product. Anyone can read anything on plastic paper. In 2015,
Low-key wasn't that far off, right? It's like the plastic paper like that wasn't really a thing, but phones 2011 was probably the rise of 2007, 2008 was the iPhone being released. 2011 was like iPhone 4 or something, right? Which is the one that really exploded, I guess.
15
Also competition with Android.
newspapers and broadcasting television disappear. Digital terrestrial is abandoned. The radio
I think digital terrestrial got abandoned or something around this time. No, digital terrestrial got made mandatory. It was not like this, actually. I think around this time, like they got some things wrong. For example, digital terrestrial TV is still running to this day, right? I'm not sure who has it or where it's played, but it's the main television. But the old one, it's like it got cut off, I guess, around, I guess some years before this. I guess maybe around 2007, 2010, I think.
radio goes on the internet. The media arena is less and less populated. Only the Tyrannosaurus Rex survives. The net includes and unifies all the content. Google buys Microsoft.
See, these kind of things was what I think about when I think about Amazon Prime Coin or whatever, right? These guys were predicting that Google would buy Microsoft or something.
Amazon buys Yahoo, thus becoming the world universal content leaders with BBC, CNN, and CCTV. The concept of static information, books, articles, images, changes and is transformed into knowledge flow. Advertisement is chosen by the content creators, by the authors themselves, and becomes information, comparison, experience.
Something about it, right? The vibe is kind of actually right? It's like not exactly, but I don't know, you went onto something.
In 2020, Lawrence Lessig, the author of Free Culture, is the new US Secretary of Justice and declares copyright illegal.
Obviously, this didn't happen.
Devices that replicate the five senses are available in the
Well, not sure if obviously, right? It didn't happen, but
virtual worlds. Reality could be replicated in Second Life. Anyone has an AGAV, Agent Avatar.
this is kind of like the metaverse from Facebook that actually didn't really take off. And I guess they introduced it. They are still yet to introduce it, I guess.
That finds information, people, places in the virtual worlds.
And like they don't mention, for example, they don't mention Facebook. In this whole video, they don't even mention it, I think. They don't mention Twitter, right? They don't mention any of the platforms that are that people actually use, right? Except YouTube. YouTube still was back then over there, but...
In 2022, Google launches Prometheus, the AGAV standard interface.
They said Google launches it. Actually, it was Facebook, and still they haven't yet released this kind of standard interface. Whatever that
Amazon
means.
creates Place, a company that replicates
But Amazon, they were onto something with Amazon, right?
reality. You can be on Mars, at the Battle of Waterloo, at the Super Bowl as a person. It's real. In 2027, Second Life evolves in the spirit. People become who they want and share the memory, the experiences, the feelings. Memory selling becomes normal trading. In 2050, Prometheus buys place and spirit. Virtual life is the biggest market on the planet. Prometheus finances all the space missions to find new worlds for its customers.
Interesting, right? They were thinking about who's going to pay for the space shit, right? Private space. I think they were onto something.
The terrestrial avatar. Experience is the new reality.
Yeah, and they actually are like, date 6th of April 2051, right? It's like this is a message from 2051 to now. Interesting video. Since the first time I watched it, I don't know when it was, but I guess it could have been around 2007 or something, maybe 2011 or something like that. I was like, whoa, that's crazy, right? Like the Google buys Microsoft. This, I don't know, that image is always in my mind for some reason. The Google buying Microsoft and the logo becoming Google, but all gray like Microsoft, right?
Amazon buys Yahoo, thus
I don't know, that's interesting to me. They got a lot closer than expected, I guess. The metaverse sucks, lol. They tried but failed too hard. So I think it will take a few years until they try that again. Yeah, I think they are doing Facebook is doing some strange things, right? Meta, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you read Twitter or whatever. Meta. But yeah, basically, Meta, aka Facebook, has done all these things to be like no longer woke or something like that, right? No longer teams of Meta moving to devoted to diversity, equity, or whatever, right? It's like Facebook was this woke platform or whatever, and now it's no longer or something. So it's like, it seems to me that this is a move to kind of distract or to like bring attention back to it for some metaverse related reasons, right? It's like their whole metaverse thing has not worked out as well as it could have. The product line, I don't know, they're trying to change something to distract from the fact that there's something going on in that department, I think. Right? I don't know. Maybe not, but I also got that video recommended, the infamous bugged Balatro seed. Yeah, the video is over an hour. I'm not going to watch that one. But I've watched a couple of, like, how did Balatro get developed, right? The story of that video, and that was an interesting video. I don't know what channel. Let's see. This one, how Balatro was made, I think. Yeah, by that guy, Glenn. This guy has made a couple of videos that are interesting for me. He has made also a video about there must be one about Stardew Valley, right? Yeah, this one. I guess I have watched both of those videos. Yeah. Stardew Valley, Undertale, and this one from Balatro, about Balatro. Really interesting videos about how this was. I don't know, they are always inspiring stories, right? One guy makes this game, it gets popular. Then you go to the game developer Twitter, and he's like, guys, don't take my success like I am the lottery ticket, right? I am the guy who won the lottery ticket, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, I think it's always interesting to hear these stories, and I like it. I don't read Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever is in that group. You watch streams, I guess, right? Not just mine, I guess, from other people. I saw like 2-3 videos from RT Game playing it, but then YouTube started recommending other videos, so I was annoyed again. Was RT Game the guy who made it famous?
Memes. The DNA.
No, I think it wasn't this guy, but probably, maybe he was like one of the... I watched a few variety streamers and YouTubers, and every time they play a new game, YouTube thinks I like the game and recommends it, and not just that I like the creator. I broke Paratra by using the most broken seed in the game. I completely broke the TCG. I'm seeing a trend. I lost control of my life in TGC Card Shop Simulator. Another I broke Paratro. Interesting. Okay, what else did I have? Book. Book. I just showed it earlier, but I wanted to mention, let's see, contraptions. How's this guy called? VGR. Let's see. This guy, VGR, is doing a book club or something, and this one, Contraptionist History Book Club. We're going to do a monthly book club, and yeah, I like his writing. He's also thinking about kind of these intersections of culture, about these movements like cryptocurrency or like artificial intelligence, and he tries to, I don't know, sort these movements in his head to see like how they work together and all this. And he has started this new contraption type ethos, and he's changed the name from his newsletter to Contraptions, with this kind of intention of like talking about contraption like things. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. He calls it this contraptionist history. So it's like, yeah, seeing different civilizations, how different civilizations are in this. Yeah, I'm going to just read what he says. So last week in a chat thread, I floated an idea for I'm going to read everything. Contraptionist History Book Club. Speaking of dev environments, 13 months ago I wrote a post titled, "We just have to..." Wait, can I do this? Let's see. Can you just repeat it so that you can read it out loud? Bro, what?
Speaking of dev environments, 13 months ago, I wrote a post titled, "We just have to set up the planetary dev environment." This post was the start of a line of thinking that has now become a central one for the Contraptions newsletter. Most recently, it showed up in the Deck 7th issue, As Above, So Garage. It's dev environments all the way up and down. Civilization, I'm increasingly convinced, is something like a planet-scale machine nestled within a planetary dev environment. A very contraption-y one that requires constant maintenance, tuning, and tinkering. The dev environment, of course, is more often than not an entropic mess, but once in a while it is in a high potential state and the machine itself is in a good state, so progress gallops along. When the machine is broken down and the dev environment is an entropic mess, which is most of the time, everybody runs out yelling meaning crisis, or just gives up and checks out. This picture of the world was not always true, but has been increasingly true since about the 13th century, as the world got increasingly organized around accumulating technological capabilities wired together in specific ways at planetary scale. In 2025, I want to explore this thesis in depth and perhaps end the year with a nice map and chronology of what the planetary machine looks like and where it came from. Maybe we'll even discover where the config file is located and how to edit it. One element of how I want to approach this project is to read a set of books that I think illuminate the idea and do it with people who also get where I'm going with this. So last week, in a chat thread, I floated an idea for a themed book club devoted to studying the idea of contraptionist world history. Each month, I'll pick a book and we'll discuss it in a chat thread. The first pick is City of Fortune by Roger Crowley, a history of the rise of Venice. I read that last month and visited Venice while I was reading it,
Whoa.
and I was struck by the extent to which medieval Venice was a well-oiled political economy machine. A machine made up of shipbuilding, seafaring, and bookkeeping technologies, a fine-tuned set of Republican governance protocols, and a Rube Goldberg-style architecture designed to pump wealth out of global trade networks to make benefit the citizens of Venice. For half a millennium, Venice was a civilizational machine unlike anything the world had seen before, an ENIAC of geopolitical computation. So let's read about it and do a teardown of sorts together.
Yeah, I think it does sometimes pauses that don't make sense, that are too long, but I'm never sure if it's like because it chooses to do it or because kind of the model is loading or something like that. But yeah, I think it reads better than I do. Like, if I try to read it, speaking of dev environments, 13 months ago, I wrote a post titled, "We just have to set up the planetary dev environment." This post was the start of a line of thinking. See, I don't group the words together as well as it does, for example. This post was the start of a line of thinking that has now become a central one for the Contraptions newsletter. Most recently, it showed up in the December 7th issue as above, so garage. It's dev environments all the way up and down. I don't know. I think it reads better than I do. But yeah, basically this is a book club about about civilizations, right? Trying to learn about civilizations, but with this lens of contraptionist history, aka this history, but looked at it from a standpoint of things that get put together in a certain way, and these kind of machines that sort of work, but that are complex systems that are not exactly like perfect machines, right? They are not like clockwork machines. They are more contraption, right? A contraption, it's like a helicopter. He uses helicopter as contraption, as like the example. A helicopter is a thing that flies, that is very technically complex, where you have like a helicopter. For a helicopter, you have like this one spinning thing, but because as a main propulsor, right? These are like wings that are spinning, and because of the way they work, if you just had those, the thing itself, right, the helicopter, would spin itself like this, because they have a whole motor spinning some wings above like that, so the whole thing would spin in a way, right? So they need to put a stick with another motor, with another thing that spins that. And that one, yeah, so it's like, and then controlling the helicopter is strange because you have to manage both engines, right? You have to manage the angle of everything. It's strange. It's a string machine. Then, and it turns out that helicopters can actually, if this thing stops working, if the bottom thing stops working, they don't straight up crash. They can still fly around, but no, it's like if they don't have power, they can still fly around, but if the thing from the bottom breaks, they are like complicated machines, right? So it's like, it's not like it's not as clean as an airplane. An airplane is it's cleaner, right? It's like, it flies up because it produces lift. The wings are just static like this. The pressure up is less than the pressure below or whatever, right? So it holds itself in the air, more or less, right? It's like, but it can also glide, and you more or less understand why the airplane can glide while helicopters are like just more complicated, right? Did you know if you wanted to land a helicopter on the open sea on a boat, the boat has to drive in a specific direction and a specific speed? I think I knew that. I'm not sure if this is strictly related to helicopters. Yeah, I think it's related to helicopters in the sense that helicopters need to stay static, right? They need something to stay static, so they need to come right down or something like that, right? And in the water there is no static, right? In the water, it's like there are like search patterns on the water are like triangular because they don't. If you stay static in the water, you drift. So you have to counter the drift, if I recall correctly, or something like that. It was interesting. I saw that like when seeing a video about search patterns. It's like if someone is drowning and they are drowning like statically in somewhere, the search patterns to search for the person who is drowning have to account for the current, right? They have to, so they end up looking not like looking around circles, ever expanding circles of one person, but they end up looking like strange triangular patterns. Search pattern, water. Yeah, it's like they have to do this kind of triangular pattern or something like that. And the actual trajectory of it and the actual drawn trajectory of the boat while doing this search pattern looks strange. Yeah, they have several different actual ones, actually. But yeah, for example, this sector search, the way it looks on the water is different than this. And for example, the way this looks on this one is used because the way this one looks on the water is worse, right? Let's see. YouTube search pattern water trajectory.
Okay, so if you don't watch turn how far, and the nice thing about Glosker position, that's better.
Hey, it's me, Destin. Welcome back to Smarter Every Day. Okay, we are kicking off the Coast Guard series in full effect here. Today, we want to get to the good stuff. We're going to start learning about search and rescue. And when you think about the Coast Guard, you normally think about like search. It solves a very interesting problem that occurs when you search for someone on water. Let's say you went on a hike and you lost something. The right thing to do is just go back to the last place you remember having your item, and it's probably in that general area. This works because land doesn't move. Water, however, does move, and it can even change flow directions over time. If you were to go back to the same place where you lost the thing, it's probably already drifted away on the water. Understanding that drift that Captain Allen was talking about, you remember when I did that? That drift, that's the key to finding people, because I thought that the coasties would just roll up in their boat and just start looking around, maybe use a searchlight at night or something like that. But no, they have to do two things really, really quickly. They have to first first find the drift of the water, but they also have to start searching, and this Victor Sierra kind of does that. And the cool thing about Coasties is that their training is standardized, so it doesn't matter where you go talk to a Coastie, they all know how this works. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go talk to Coasties from 2 different locations and see if we can understand it. We're actually going to do a Victor Sierra down here in Florida, but first I want to go up to Station Rochester in New York.
Course 200.
The port and starboard. I remember port.
At this point, we would be going
this is
over what our
To give them a way to keep the middle of the search in line with the drift of the water. And they use math to make sure that they're still cutting the moving pipe pieces up equally as they search. To minimize cross drift, they set up the first leg of their search in the direction that the current's flowing as best they can tell.
So at this point, we would be going over what our search object is. We're looking for a 40-whatever-year-old male. It's one of the most perfect Victor Sierras, completed Victor Sierras I've ever seen. Really? This is one of the calmest days I've seen out here.
Okay, check this out. Let's simulate the GPS coordinates of an RBM performing a Victor Sierra in different types of sea drift. Man, that was a sentence, wasn't it? The higher the drift rate, the more crazy the pattern looks. But if you think about it, that's actually the right thing to do because they're actually cutting the pie up with that drifting section of water. And furthermore, they're getting data that they can then feed back into the sector command so that they can input that data into the SAROP software so they have the best chance of releasing other assets that might need to come on scene to help with the search and rescue. This is fascinating. If you were to draw this and say, hey, this is what we're going to do when we get to scene and this is the best way to find you, that is not what I would think the visualization would look like, but this is an awesome way of doing things. I think the Victor Sierra is incredibly clever.
That thing, yeah, basically that. Interesting. I assume the helicopter thing has something to do with that. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, so I think I talked about the book. Let's put City of Fortune. Robert Crowley. So yeah, I'm going to start reading this book for this month. Not sure if I'll finish. I think I will finish. It's only like 400 pages and I have like 15 days, so something like 387, but let's say 15, 25, only 25 pages a day. I think it's manageable. Then, if you had 10x the agency, I wanted to talk about this tweet. What would you do that if you had 10 times the agency? Duplicar. From Coscorro Drift Agency. I think I don't know what agency means anymore. If you had 10x the agency, bro, I don't know. I think I just default to thinking what I'd buy if I had 10x the money. Yeah, I don't really get. It's like I kind of get what people mean when they say agency, but I also don't know what they mean when they say agency, right? Okay, gotta do some more work. Have a good rest stream and probably see you tomorrow, I guess. Okay, see ya. Have a nice day and hope you finish your work and yeah, could get a good result. And yeah, tomorrow I think same. This week I haven't like no one has asked me, hey, tomorrow do you want to practice German or whatever? Maybe they will ask last minute. If they ask last minute, I will just say, I can after 6, right? If not, yeah. So yeah, if all goes well, if nothing goes like extremely strange for some reason, I will stream tomorrow again. Maybe I will make a video out of some of these concepts, some of these topics. Because, for example, I don't think I will finish talking about all these things today. And I also had another thread from today that I wrote that I forgot to put on the topics. So yeah, I think I still have things to say tomorrow. And I haven't even talked about my week, so yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know what people mean when they say 10 times the agency. What? It's like, what would you do if you have the capacity to do more things, right? I don't know how to interpret these things. Maybe it's like, if you weren't limited, what removes agency, right? Other people doing the things, other people preventing you from doing things. Valueless. How do you say valueless? Like something. Okay, back to agency. So, I don't know. I could just ask Claude. I have my own thinking, right? I think maybe body-related stuff, right? If I didn't feel constrained by environment, etc., maybe I would change more things about it, regardless of context, right? Maybe agency is just caring less about context. I think that's not true entirely, right? I think agency does have to have context in hand, but it is, I guess, right, a thing. If you have agency about something, you can. That means like you can change things, right? So maybe I don't feel agency right now, for example. I don't feel like I can change these things. But if I tried, I could. Or maybe some other projects, right? I talk about project cars sometimes, right? Maybe I feel like I don't do those because they're not sustainable or some reason like this, right? Because there's no way I could just do the thing and have the thing be for nothing, right? I can't make a project car that I like because no one else will like it or something like this. Zirak Nazir, hope I pronounced it right. Does it have to be changed? I think being self-aware of what you can do or do not can technically be agency. How's it going, by the way? I don't know. Interesting, right? Does it have to be changed? I think agency does imply something about change. I don't know where I wrote it. I think I was talking about it in a context of ambition from Coscorro Drift. Ambition. Más reciente. Something like this, right? Regarding this tweet, now that my fake ambition has no sway on me, my real ambition is growing. And it's surprising to me how small it is and how slowly it's growing, right? I guess ambition and agency are things that are related. It's like, in order to use agency, I guess, you have to have ambition, right? It's like, if not, maybe if you don't have it, it doesn't matter, right? Because you don't use it. I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself correctly, but yeah. But here I talk about it in this sense, right? I think I probably still do in a way, ambition with wanting change. There is some ambition behind wanting change, implicit. There's always something from right now could be better. But outright ambition, I think, has a different flavor. I think agency, I see them in a similar way, right? It's like agency, it's like the ability to make change. I feel like that's agency, right? If you don't have agency, for example, if you're a person without agency, maybe you're happy or whatever, but what it means is that you cannot change things, right? It's that your actions in the world don't change a lot. Don't change the world a lot. Meanwhile, someone with agency, their actions on the world change the world a lot. I feel like that's how I see it. Ambition can be a thing for sure, but I believe it mostly relies on freedom. I guess I also think that way, right? I feel like when someone says, I would like to have more agency, they maybe mean I would like to have more freedom to do things, right? Regardless of whether you do them or not, right? It's like, yeah, maybe you don't even have to change anything. You simply have to have the freedom to do it if you want to, right? It's like if you are in the 9 to 5 or whatever, and you have to be in the 9 to 5, and you feel maybe agencyless about it, right? Maybe you feel like I'm tied to this thing. I don't have the freedom to do something else. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, so maybe what would you do if you had 10x the freedom, right? Bro. If you had 10x the freedom. Why did it only copy one? Oops. Interesting. If you have no money and can't order a drink and someone hands you a Coke, you do not have NGC that situation. There is no action you can take, circumstantially, to then get a Fanta. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, so agency doesn't necessarily mean Fanta, right? Maybe agency does means money. Agency maybe means that you have the capacity to open the fridge, for example, right, and get to one because you have the permission for it, because someone gives you the permission, right? I don't know, is that agency? I guess my the bartender has agency there, I guess, right? Or not, because they work so they can't just hand you a Coke. If they hand you the Coke, they have to cover for it or something. In that context, I guess, money is agency, right? It's like if you have the money to buy either a Fanta or a Coke, you have agency. You can choose. I guess then, what does then in that context agency 10x the agency? What 10 times? It's just 10 times the money, right? It's like in that context, agency is money. Or maybe not, right? It's like, because to me, or when you use the word agency, you mean something not necessarily the same thing, right? If you meant money, you would just say money. It's like this implies that there is something else to it. You do have an agency to ask for a Fanta if given a Coke, if you can afford it. You might say, excuse me, I ordered Fanta. That to me is agency, the control over circumstances. Okay, true, right? They give you a Fanta. Sorry, they give you a Coke even if you order a Fanta, but you get your Fanta because you have agency. And there are some people who would be like, nah, okay, I'll take the Coke, right? And that would be like a less agentic move. So, for example, I guess, making reservations at a restaurant is an agentic move in that sense, right? It's like you can go to the restaurant. It's like you have the money, right? You can pay for the dinner at the restaurant. But instead of just showing up and being at the mercy of, it's like taking a move, right? Making some kind of move to assure that you have a table there, right? To assure that you will eat. It's like you are no longer at the mercy of how many restaurants will, or how many customers will the restaurant have at the day or whatever. You can simply, by restricting something, aka some days before, calling and saying, hey, can I get a reservation at this table, blah, 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 at this hour? And they say, yeah, sure, right? So that, in a sense, is agency, right? I think another way you can interpret agency maybe is like, if you are the type of person that whenever you go to the restaurant, the waiter or like whoever is like, oh, we have to make a table for them, right? There are like these VIP people, right? Does that count as agency or not? Yep, if you're suffering and someone hands you a Coke, it's pretty unlikely to ask them to give you a Fanta instead. There is no agency in that circumstance. You take what you get. Yeah. I guess that makes sense, right? So I guess someone in that situation would be like, if I had 10x the agency, I would ask for a Fanta, right? And in that case, 10x means having money for a Fanta. Or I don't know what 10x, what the specific 10 multiplier does to whatever, but yeah, right? Maybe if he starts with if he doesn't have zero agency, right? He can say, no, I don't want the Fanta, right? He can accept it or say no. But his agency is certainly limited. $10x would be maybe that the amount of, depending on how you interpret $10x, right, is the amount of options higher. If you had 10x the amount of agency in that circumstance, you won't need to ask. You can simply afford the Fanta. True. Oops. What about in other context? What about you personally? How would you answer this question? What would you do if you had 10 times the agency? How is your Fanta world and your Coca-Cola world? Who is giving you Coke? How is Coke figuratively being given to you right now that you can't refuse. What does affording the Fanta look like for you right now? And for me, let's see. How am I being handed a Coke right now? What does affording the Fanta look like for me right now? I guess there is a sense in which money is still it's still something limiting of a fact. It's a limiting factor for me, right? For example, yesterday I watched this Tyler Cowen with Dwarkesh podcast. YouTube Tyler, this one. And here they talk about money in a sense, at some point, right? And Dwarkesh, let's see. Control F, money.
Instance, can't use AI very well. Look at the U.S. economy. These numbers are guesses. But government consumption is what, 18%? Healthcare is almost 20%. I'm guessing education is 6 to 7%.
Billionaire. Yeah, he says something like, for him, 40 to 10, let's see, 40 to 10. 41.
Intrinsically bad about it. Like I'm at a progress studies conference with you.
Growth rates by 0.5 percentage point.
Number.
If you buy your picture of AI where it increases growth rates by 0.5 percentage point, what does your portfolio look like?
I can tell you what my portfolio is. It's a lot of diversified mutual funds with no trading. Basically, pretty heavily US weighted and nothing in it that would surprise you. Now, my wife
because his wife is
works for
from
the SEC, so I'm not allowed to do most things. Like even to buy most individual stocks, you may not be allowed to do it.
I guess he doesn't have agency in this sense, right? But he also doesn't want it. I guess that's what he talks about here, right? He says something like...
Certainly not allowed derivatives or shorting anything. But if somehow that restriction were not there, I don't think it would really matter. So buy and hold.
Yeah, he has the restriction because his wife he works for the SEC. But he himself doesn't care about it, right? It's like if he says he feels like a billionaire. It's like his life wouldn't change anything. He wouldn't change anything by having $1 billion, right? That is not his limiting factor. Money for him is not a limiting factor. I think for me it is, right? I'm not sure up to what extent though, for example, right? It's like it's likely that my money ceiling is lower than his, right? It's like he's an economist, he knows a lot about money, etc., right? It's like he probably could use it in better ways than I could do, right? Interesting. Maybe there is a case where I can afford both, but I'm stranded in a desert where the only option is the Coke. The reason I still have an agency is because I can choose not to buy it. Interesting. I think there is some delay. Maybe there is a case where I can afford both, but I'm stranded in a desert where the only option is Coke. The reason I still have an agency is because I chose not to buy it. Yeah, that is what I was mentioning, right? It's like he still has agency, but the agency is limited, right? Here, I guess the question would be 10x. What does 10x mean? Does 10x mean the number of options? It's like he is in a situation of limited agency. In the desert, where there is only Coke. So yeah, here in a sense, money, Tyler Cowen example, That's what I was talking about right now, right? About how for Tyler Cowen, for him, money is no longer a limitation. Why do you think a billionaire wiser than you? To me and you, money means more than to a billionaire who can spend every day and still have millions to spare. In that case, won't be wiser than money. I don't mean that money is that he's wiser than me or whatever, right? I mean, well, in a sense, I do think that, right? He, just not because I'm poor and he is not, and also he is not a billionaire, by the way. It's like he isn't a billionaire. He is rich, way richer than me, but he's not a billionaire. He's just rich. Like, I don't know how much he has the worth. Like Tyler Cowen, like 10 million or something. Tyler Cowen net worth. Yeah, here it says 5 million, right? It's probably a lie, and this web page doesn't lie. Sorry, this means that it's a made-up number because there are not a lot of sources about it, right? It's like, so he's probably like richer than many people, certainly richer than me, but also it's not like a crazy amount of money, right? It's like having 10 million, being worth $5 million or whatever. It's not. It's like he's wealthy and all that, but he's not like generationally type wealth or something like that. He's not like rich, and he's not a billionaire. So it's like, and he himself thinks that for him, $1 billion wouldn't do anything, right? So it's like his life wouldn't change as much. He's not limited by money, is what I'm saying. I am. But what I'm saying is that my ceiling for being like, I will hit eventually, people hit a limit when they are no longer limited by money, right? When you have enough money, you are like, okay, I'm no longer limited by money. Now I'm limited by time. For example, he says he's limited by time. He says he doesn't have enough time to do what like all the things he wants to do or whatever, right? But he has the money. It's like he certainly could probably afford to go to China or whatever for 10 weeks, but he doesn't have the 10 weeks. That's the problem, right? In my case, I don't have the money either, right? But what I'm saying is that my ceiling, like the amount of money from which I would no longer feel like I'm limited by money, is not that high, right? It's probably not that high. I'm assuming that is probably like his net worth. How much is he worth? 10 million or whatever. Probably around there, right? It's like, I have more expensive hobbies, I would say, right? He says he has less expensive hobbies. So maybe I think I could probably, in a sense, do get more value out of having more money than him because his hobbies are cheap. But I don't think they could go that high, right? I think I would run into other limits. And regarding the wiser with money, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it wisely or not wisely, right? I was thinking about capability or something. It's like about limits or not limited, about the feeling that you have of being limited. It's like, do you feel limited by money? I would guess, probably, right? If you're watching me, probably. I don't know, maybe not. Who knows, right? Wait, where are you from? Actividad del canal. I'm Pakistani, but Zirak is Iranian. I moved to the States at a young age. Maybe not. Maybe you don't feel limited by money. Maybe you do. Manhattan. If you're in Manhattan, I mean, you were in New York or something like that, or like in New Jersey, right? Maybe you do feel limited by money. New York people probably feel limited by money, right? Everything is so expensive. I feel like those who are born in wealth can't maximize their potential as much as those who become wealthier by grinding later in life. I don't know. I think it depends on what the potential is. For example, I think for certain categories of things, driving cars, right? If you are someone with a natural talent of driving cars really fast, there are some possibilities of you being able to get to Formula One, for example, by being good. But for many people who aren't as good but still could be in the top, right? The limiting factor is money. It's like if your dad owns a Formula One team, you can get to Formula One easier than if he doesn't. And that has certainly happened. Lance Stroll, for example, right? His dad owns the Formula One team, and that certainly gives you, if you have to be good, still you have to be good enough to drive Formula One, right? But, and maybe at that high of a level, the limiting factor is not strictly money or whatever, but in order for you to develop that talent to the fullest potential, you do need money, right? So there are probably many people who get stranded because of the lack of money, and they are not able to develop their talent. Right? Especially, I'm thinking not at the top, but at like lower categories, right? It's like in order for you to develop your talent, you need to have money. I guess we all need tiger parents who force us to have 76 hobbies when we're 11. I don't know. I think it's different. I mean, yeah, I think in a sense, yeah, to the extent to which that could be possible, yes. The problem is that it's not possible to predict beforehand, right? It's like, but I feel like if you look at the top performers everywhere, there is an aspect of that, right? There is an aspect of tiger parents. For example, the current fastest Formula drivers today, their parents were Formula One drivers. Or drivers related, right? Verstappen, for example. It's like they essentially had parents that, if they don't outright say that they made them do it, they did it on their own because they're a kid, and who as a kid doesn't obviously love fucking driving cars, right? Started karting when he was 7 years old. It's like your dad has to take you karting when you are 7 years old in order for you to be able to drive cars, right? It's like, yeah, in a sense, right? I'm not sure if like the 76 hobbies is a thing. It's maybe more one hobby a lot. So it's not surprising that despite us having the same level of education, I wouldn't say they have the same level of education, right? This guy has a ton more education in driving cars. He's been literally driving since he was 7 years old, right? Started racing in cars at the age of 4 and competing in championships at the age of 7, right? Started, is like by the time he was 7, he already had 3 years of driving karts experience. It's like that certainly work, right? It's like you have to be there, you have to have the hours in, but who gets to have the hours, right? When I was 8, I had 1 hour of karting experience. Would I have become as good as him? Probably not, right? It's like I have bad eyesight. I don't have super good reflexes in the first place, right? I don't know where my potential lies. For example, as you mentioned, right? It's like, I feel like those who are born in wealth can't maximize their potential as much as those who become wealthier by grinding later in life. It's like if my potential lied in car driving, I fucked up by being born into the wrong family. It's also a tricky question, right? It's like now, it's like because I was born in whatever family I was born into, etc., my potential is not. It's like it has been revealed that it cannot be that, right? That window is closed. So now my potential is a different one, right? Mensaje retirado. Did you delete it or did... Actividad de moderación. Actividad de moderación. Moderación de la comunidad. You see it a lot in soccer. Young prodigies aren't a result of being second-generation player, but rather parents who were super fans. Yeah, true. Yeah, in cars, it's I guess different, right? Because, well, not sure if it's different. Right? I haven't analyzed every driver on the grid and been like, okay, how did they get there, right? It's like but probably there is a common thread, which is that all of them were driving karts at 4 years old, right? It's like who, as a parent, drives their kid to the fucking kart circuit at 4 years old, unless they are like fucking insane or whatever, right? I don't know. There has to be some component that is like that, right? They have to be deluded into thinking that their kid will be the best driver ever in order for them to start so early, right? Maybe it's just a case of like, imagine if, right? Because, for example, football, it's like everyone, low-key, plays football, right? So you can just see that they are really good. But not everyone starts driving cars. I think that's why there are like so many old pilots who have sons who drive cars, who drive again, right? Because they were already in that environment and like they take the son there and they like it to try it out, right? It's like they are connected more or less. It's less of a crazy step, right? It's like my day-to-day life is like this. I can just bring my son into it in a way, right? Yeah, he's the son of former Formula 1 driver Jos Verstappen and Belgian former kart racer Sophie Kumpen. That's crazy. Anyways, I'm switching topics. Another thing I wanted to... Lewis Hamilton's father was an IT professional and it had nothing to do with the sport other than being a fan. I guess they are living their fantasies through those things. Yeah, true. I guess in his case, yeah. Otherwise, like, why would he take his child to this, right? I don't know. I think maybe the kid just like grows watching it, and the kid himself says it, right? It's like if my dad is a fan and he's always watching the races, and the moment where he's the most happy when he's watching Formula 1, then maybe the kid also looks at it and is like, oh, wow, daddy, please let me drive or whatever, right? And the dad is like, oh, for sure, right? Began his karting aged 6. Bought him a radio-controlled car when he was 5. Finished second in the BRCA Radio Car Association. Bought him a go-kart for Christmas when he was 6. Interesting. Let's see Fernando Alonso, for example. Fernando Alonso. Began kart racing aged 3. Wanted a hobby to share with his children and built a go-kart for Lorena. Lorena is his sister, I guess, right? Yeah, an elder sister, Lorena, who is a doctor. She was interested in karting, and 3-year-old Alonso received the kart. His father rejected an offer for his son to be a goalkeeper for the RC Celta de Vigo. But we all do that for stuff. And none of us actually get a shot. I loved soccer as a kid. Maybe in another world my parents saw a future in me and had me enrolled in an academy. Who knows? Yeah, I guess if I have offspring, I will be this kind of dad, right? The dad who buys a car for their kids because they want to live through them or some shit like that. Okay, the other topics I had where I'm surrounded by losers. I'm prepared to talk with Brian, but maybe I will leave these topics for another day. What about agency? I think agency is an interesting... Control bloop 12 bloop. Hashtag stream leftovers and stream tweet chain x perfil this one. A person oppressed by another or circumstance or by the law might not have agency. Often we convince ourselves that we can't change our circumstances through our own action. What do you think about your own agency? Right? Not about the concept of agency, about your own. If you had 10x the agency, what would you do? Like if you had it. This tweet. Without telling you to just do it, what would you do? That's what I was thinking here, right? I was thinking, if I had 10x the agency, I wrote body related, maybe I would try to change my body in ways that I don't think I can right now. For whatever reasons, right? I am oppressed by circumstance, I would say. Why don't I do it? Then I would have to get into the analysis, right? If I had agency, I would probably take up something in college that I actually liked and not what my parents demanded me of. Okay, interesting. actividad del canal. Did you say what you study right now? In circuit test engineer. Electrical. EE may open gates to getting a cushier IT job one day that might be in higher demand. It's a gamble that I hope rewards me. What would you have taken up? But I guess that is looking at it in a past lens. It's like, what would I have done if I had 10 times the agency in the past, right? I mean it here in a present way, right? It's like, what would you do right now if you had, like, it's had conditional, right? If you had 10 times the agency, what would you do, right? But right now, starting from right now, from right where you are right now, would you quit the IT job in order to study? Would you do that right now? I've come to hate engineering. The gamble for IT seems like a reach now. I should have explored business and AI a bit more. The gamble for IT. Yeah, I'm hearing conflicting reports, right? I'm always hearing junior market is saturated in IT, but also I'm hearing right now senior profiles, or like not senior, but like, yeah, regular profiles are being seeked out, and like there's movement again. I don't know. I'm hearing different reports, right? When I say I'm hearing, I mean I read on Twitter. Like, because, for example, I'm in the path right now to drive trains, so I don't feel like the parts where I feel like I lack agency are where I live, right? If I had infinite money, infinite resources, etc., nothing would change a ton, but some things would change a moderate amount. For example, I would probably rent out a different apartment to live in, closer to where I study. That right now doesn't make any sense, but if I had infinite money, I would probably do it, right? Not quit because my circumstances don't allow that, but it's still agency that, along with job, I start studying for certification regarding AI and business that would eventually make me transition. That's an interesting answer. So I guess you would do that, right? And you can do that. I guess that you're planning to do that, right? Or you're considering doing it. And if you had 10 times the agency, I think it's pretty dangerous to confuse instant gratification with agency. Maybe. I don't strictly think so, because I do think I'm limited in some ways, right? Because of where I live. Agency has to be earned, in my opinion, thus it has to be a gradual process. Do you think so? It's like, do you think that a billionaire's son, for example, has less agency because he didn't earn it? It's like, that's the ability of money to do things. Change. I feel like, I guess you have a point in a sense. I guess I don't think it requires for it to be earned, I guess. I guess I think that if that has connections, right, and you don't have to seek the connections for yourself, things can happen easier. And you haven't done anything, right? It's like his agency, like a billionaire's son's agency is higher than mine, just because of where he was born, right? He was born under someone who is powerful and has contacts, etc. He can make things happen, more things happen than I could. Just because of that, right? For example, if we both have the same idea, billionaires son is not going through the same loopholes as we do, so we can survive when shit goes south. They'll drown. I don't know. I don't think I believe that. I think it's the opposite, actually. If I try to do something and I fail, I actually drown, right? For example, I tried to become a YouTuber. And now I can only stream on the weekends because I have a job. Sorry, my time is constrained to certain hours, right? There are other factors, there are other constraints, but my constraints look like that because of that. Versus if a billionaire's son attempted to be a YouTuber, he would have way more runway, right? He would be able to keep continuing trying to do it. Or if I have an idea for a business, right? For a project cars business, for a car business, right? Not a business, for a car. I have ideas for car projects. If I buy one car, I try to do something. I try to sell it in order for me to be able to afford the next one. And I can't sell it, I'm fucked. I have a car that is worthless, that no one wants, that I built because I wanted to. If someone who's a billionaire's son just does that, it doesn't matter if he can sell it because he can just store it away and buy another, right? When we hit rock bottom, we already know what it's kind of like. A billionaire's son has never seen rock bottom. They won't know how to dig a hole out of poverty. Yeah, I think the problem is that I can actually end up there, right? And he can't. It's like, the problem is like, who's closer to getting there? It's like we both could, right? I don't think I'm going to end up in poverty, right? I have some privilege. But who's closer? I know who's closer, right? It's like we both can hit it. We both can hit rock bottom. But if he does, can he navigate it better than you can? I will say, yeah, you do have a point in the sense that if he does hit rock bottom, it's because shit has gone wrong to a level that is hard for me to understand, right? In order for a billionaire's son to hit rock bottom, there have to have happened many things, right? For example, maybe they have to like hate their family so much that they go into drugs or whatever, and they are actively hostile, right, to that. Or something like this, right? But I think like that like I could be also angry with my parents or whatever and get mad and not want help, right? And end up and do drugs the same, right? It's like, I don't think it matters. The pain is the same. A little bit, like it's not the same exactly because the drop is lower, but like the height of the drop is lower. But I think it doesn't really matter that much, right? In the grand scheme of things, it's still a drop. It's still a considerable drop that breaks you, right? Yeah, but I guess, can I get back to being middle class if I go broke and do everything like that? No, I will probably be poor, right? It's like if, I don't know, yeah. You have somewhat of a point, but I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for your insightful comments. It was an interesting talk. But I have to leave now. And yeah. Tomorrow I will talk about the topics that I left. Control 12. Oops. Control 12. These topics. So if you're interested in this, I'm surrounded by losers. This is kind of related, right? Agency related. Being surrounded by losers. Spoiler alert. Is that agency related? Could be, right? So yeah. Same hour. I start at 4:30. Set to est 10 a.m. I guess, your time. So yeah, I also have a Discord here if you want to get notified. Copy. Let's see. Bro, what the fuck? This is so fucking stupid. Invite link. Bro, this is so fucking stupid. This is literally so stupid. I can't copy the link because OBS is running. Okay, let's see now. Now, this one. Finally. So yeah, if you want to get notifications, do that and then do this thing. You can either do this follow thing here or you can do the get role. I can just put you the role notifications, I think. I don't have I don't have a way for me to. Are you this one? General. Are you this? Okay, I gave it to you. You can remove it if you don't want it. If tomorrow or some other weekend you get notified and you're like, what the fuck? So yeah, you will get a notification. So yeah, thank you for joining. You will get pinged when I start. And yeah. Yeah, thank you for being here. Goodbye.